Good morning, one and all. In this video lecture, we will read Azadi, a novel by Chaman Nahal, which depicts the condition of India during partition. Land who would return home if such a calamity befall them would have a bath, change their clothes, and refuse to stir out for the rest of the day. It is true, Maharaja Ranjit Singh was one-eyed too, but then he had many virtues to make up for that. He tied such a beautiful turban and he supported a hawk so superbly on his hand as he rode. At least he looked so handsome, whereas Wavell only blinked like an owl. So here the writer is describing the personality of the rulers. He says that Indian rulers were really attractive, while Mountbatten and Wavell, these are not good looking also, and their mentality is very shrewd. They are clever. Why of all the persons at their command did the big sahibs have to send him? They had taken themselves very close to ruin in 1857 by issuing cartridges greased with cow's fat, and now they had done a worse thing. Even the Muslims mistrusted a one-eyed man. The arrival of Lord Mountbatten in March seemed to restore a same balance of the earlier dignity. How tall he was, how slim, that's how a viceroy should look. Majestic. The derby on his head and the sleek robes on his body sat perfectly. So Lala Kasiram is hopeful because Lord Mountbatten looks beautiful rather than Wavell, to say nothing of the beautiful wife by his side. And Lala Kasiram confided to Prabharani. He was also related to His Majesty the King. He used the Urdu expression Badshah Salamat for the king, and the God save the king and Badshah Salamat, both these are same. And the chewability of the words in his mouth sent a thrill through his entire body. Even if all the millions of Indians were to turn hostile to the king, he would find at least one person ready to fall at his feet if he were ever to visit India in the future. For he was the great English king, direct descendant of the great Malika Victoria, on the site of whose fat statues in Indian cities Lala Kasiram had grown into manhood. This morning, when Lala Kasiram told Prabharani of the coming broadcast, he was in a reflective mood. He was not jubilant and gay. He looked timid, as usual. He was sitting on his bed, propped up against the round pillow, and Prabharani was standing in the doorway. Here, the writer is describing the morning routine where Lala Kasiram educates his wife or describes with him the events happening around him or in the world, dividing her attention between her learning and her kitchen. Lala Kasiram said, Arun's mother, come and sit near me on the bed. It is customary in Hindu households that a husband usually doesn't address his wife by his name. Prabharani was surprised at these words. Company was what Lala Kasiram wanted least when he was reading the paper, and he seemed so scared. Nothing had happened in the house for several days to upset him, nor anything special in the store either. For then she slowly walked over to the bed and sat down beside him. Lala Kasiram gazed at her. Her dark brown face had grown weary through anxious years, but she was beautiful still. What big eyes she had, almond shaped and so wide. He gazed at her hands, and the skin on her fingertips was cut and broken at many places. How many household chores did that mean? Her haunches had grown big with time, but that was not her fault. That happened to every Punjabi woman after giving birth to one child, and she had too many. In any case, big haunches were not a blemish in a good woman. Nothing was a blemish in a good woman, and she had been a good woman to him. He could say that for her. He looked around, and there was silence and peace in the rooms. From where he sat, he could see all the three rooms that constituted their home. So he sits in the center. There were connecting doors all the way through. At the end, by the side of the last room, was the kitchen, which was not visible from here. He could see the three main rooms, and in each things were so neatly arranged and stacked. It is all the hard working of his wife. She manages everything beautifully. The room next to his was a very large room, almost like a funnel, connecting his room with that of Arun at the end, and there were two beds in that large room, one in each corner. Printed sheets were spread neatly on both the beds, and in addition to the usual flat pillow, a round pillow was placed on the top of the flat one. In the large room there were also several spare beds stood up against the wall on one side, the legs of one bed going through the string nets of the others, so that they did not take up much space, and artist that Prabharani was on top of these standing beds. Too, she had spread a printed sheet. So she is a clever housewife. She takes care of everything so that the sight did not hurt the eye. No one could tell at first glance that there were beds hidden behind the seat. It looked more like a curtain, a decorative curtain. She decorates the house in a very fanciful and beautiful way, and it's very fascinating if you visualize that. The clothes of the house were kept in small trunks. Things like seats and quilts and bed pads and pillowcases, both flat and round, were placed in big steel chests, which were about as big as a twin bed. She maintains the house beautifully. Each house had one or two of these chests, called patties locally. Uh, Somewhere it is also called Sanduk or Baksa. Lala Kasiram and Prabha Rani had two of them, and they were placed on the left side of the big room. On the top of them rose the other trunks of the house. The smaller trunks could be opened at any time of the day by any of the children, but the big chests were the job of the mother or the father alone. Not only did it mean lifting heavy steel lids, it meant there were things in those chests which parents alone could see. Their contents remained a matter of endless mystery and the never ceasing subject of discussion for children. The privilege of opening them was never claimed by any of them, nor was this right ever allowed to them, however big they might grow. So, children are not allowed to move the luggage or to check it, what is there in it. It's like a legacy which is kept out of the reach of the children. Their contents remained a matter of endless mystery and the never ceasing subject of discussion for children. The privilege of opening them was never claimed by any of them, nor was this right ever allowed to them, however big they might grow. So, this is note comes into the jurisdiction of the children. The utmost they were permitted was to stand by the side of the chest while it was being opened by one of the parents. Only parents can open these boxes, and if their eyes were dazzled by the gold ornaments or the currency bills tiled into bundles, they were not supposed to have seen anything. This is the reason why the children are not allowed to open the boxes, because gold is kept in them, and children are irresponsible, so they can't take risk. Lala Kasiram looked through the door to the far end where Arun's windows opened out at the back, and the peace of the house came to him with something of pain. He had got so used to it he did not know how gracious it was. For about 3 decades had he been living there, and what he saw today had all been put together by him and Prabharani, bit by bit, through their own efforts. How loaded with goodness it was, everything. There was 8 small trunks stacked on top of the 2 steel chests. On each one of the chests and the trunks there was spread a separate cloth cover. Prabharani had whole sets of them in different colors. Some days she used green, on others yellows, on others pink. Today the covers on the trunks were lemon yellow. So she keeps changing the covers. In yet another corner she had hung a thick line and cover. The line lay blankets and towels and spare seats behind the curtain. Students, this is enough for today. We will be continue tomorrow.